guys, let's talk ladder bar. Why and how does it work? A ladder bar or anti-wrap bar on leaf spring setup. Say this is your leaf spring. And there's your axle and your tire. Now, when your pinion, your drive shaft, comes down to your pinion, when that tire wants to digging forward, it wants to push the Jeep forward, and it also wants to twist this up. It's wanting to rotate the spring with the tire. The spring is taking up all the load of it trying to pull forward. So what your traction bar does, you hook the traction bar up to the axle, up to the chassis. It's not a very good drawing, but say this is the subframe. Now when your tire rotates forward, tries to twist that leaf spring up, it applies that torque, and you can actually use it for traction. That torque that's trying to twist that spring around is pushing up here, making this rear end go down. It takes that rotation that's trying to twist that spring up, applies it to the traction bar, and wants to push the tire down. The same way as kneeling on a rock with your bump stop, putting all the weight on one tire on either corner of the Jeep. That traction bar will literally put all the weight, or help transfer the weight of the Jeep down on the tires. Now, drag racing, you use the same thing, and it's so critical on a drag car. I mean, it gives you so much traction, extra traction. Say that's our ladder bar on drag car. I'm not a drawer, guys. Okay. This will be your pinion, and your drive shaft's invisible on the other side. Okay. On a drag car, your drive shaft, say this is your drive shaft, this is your yoke. The straighter the angle of that yoke, the more that drive shaft's going to try to straighten out. When you come off the trans brake or off the foot brake and you hammer down on it, that drive shaft's going to want to stand up straight. It's going to want to twist that pinion. It's going to make this straight because it's at an angle here, it's at an angle there. So it's going to try to twist that up straight. Well, when it twists that up straight, say on a launch, it pushes up on that traction bar, which transfers the weight of the car on the rear tires and plants it, and that's why they pull the front end when they leave. It works so well that if you get a car that's wheel hopping or it's got too much traction, you change the angle of this pinion. You move it up. The more you go up, the less I'm talking about increments of 1 degrees, 7 to 3 to 2, just little increments you go up. And you also your spring rate on your springs, which we don't change that, but on a race car it's different. Drag car, they use ladder bars for traction and to keep it from wrapping up too, but it's more for traction. The more you take this pinion straight or down, the more more ass it's going to have when it's leaving. You go up with it, it's going to take a little traction away from it, and that's how you fine tune it. On the Jeeps, the tires are so damn big that it's going to have all kind of force pushing up on that bar, and it's actually going to give you more traction. So I don't know if any of that made sense, but the ladder bar is going to keep the spring from wrapping up in this area right here. It'll want to do that. It'll want to bend it right here, which mine have done several times and bent the hell out of them. It'll stop that from happening, transfer all of that twisting motion up to the chassis and help plant push down on the tires to grip better. So it's all around a good deal. Now, does everybody need one? Probably not, but if you got 35s or above, yeah, even 33s on rocks. Now if you're climbing on rocks, this would probably be a good deal to keep your, because it saves the leaf springs, and it also saves the U-joints, because like I said down here, it wants to stand that drive shaft up, which is what causes the axle wrap. Well, it'll also stand it up past negative and go up positive up and just rip the drive shaft U-joint right out of it. So the ladder bar will help keep that where you got it set, and it'll transfer the weight of the Jeep down on the rear tires, and it's just all around a good deal. I should have done it a long time ago, but you know, you can only do so much at once. But that's the lowdown on the ladder bar setup and what it does. We're going to set the lower bar to where we got good clearance on it. It's not hanging down or anything like that. We're going to have it right there at the bottom of the axle. We're going to run our top bar from the top down to match where our wheel well goes, like that, up in there. And we'll connect it up in here on the shackle. The shackle will allow it to move forward or back in a swinging motion when our rear end moves up and down, when it's going like this. But it'll still give it, when it's flat, it'll still give it a lot of good up motion with the tire. But that's how we're going to do that. And then we're going to integrate it into the truss too, and weld it all together under there. So when we get done, that tire's turning this way, transferring all that power up to the frame, and it'll push down on the tires. More traction, save the leaf springs. And that Rough Stuff kit is the bomb. I don't think I've ever seen a traction bar that beefy. So we should have that forever. We shouldn't have to worry about that at all. It's all 3/8 plate and quarter wall DOM. You can't go wrong there. And I think that's a 1.75 Hemi joint. So I hope that made some sense to you guys. If anybody else have any input on it, put it in the comments, and we'll holler at y'all later, man. Y'all take it easy. Alright, bye.